Hello, everyone, and welcome to our PHLAFF 2022 Shorts Block Programming Q&A session. My name is Kirsten, and I'm a part of the programming team this season. Today, we have a filmmaker whose film is a part of the Musing and Media short block. This film block explores themes within the realm of film, media, and beyond. To get us started, I'd love to have me introduce you to our filmmakers. It's a pleasure to speak with you today. And I'd like to begin by asking you to tell us a little bit about yourself and your film.
Thank you so much. It's truly an honor to be here. My name is Shireen Ali Haji, and my film is called Blue Veil. In the wake of 9/11, Amina, a first-gen Muslim teenager, struggles with the gaze of Islamophobia, from surveillance to the 24-hour news cycle, until she discovers and begins sampling her mother's record collection. The songs reflect her parents' migration stories from Iran and Ecuador to America and serve as a roadmap to her identity. And as music unlocks memories, she remembers who she is.
Thank you so much. I'd like to begin by asking you more about what really inspired your film.
Yeah. So the inspiration of the film is really an interesting story. I had never intended in making this short film specifically. I was shooting source material with my friends over the course of perhaps more than 5 years. So like all the scenes that you see in the film are not actually shot within the same year. They were shot across several different years throughout my life and throughout the life of the actors. And that's because I was trying to understand what I was writing as I wrote a feature called Blue Veil. Um, but essentially, I found myself in like 2021, around 2020 and 2021, like reviewing a lot of the footage and realizing that I did have enough to create a narrative here through the visuals. And I told myself like I can make a short film with all of these scenes that we created together. Um, and in terms of like the inspiration of like the story itself, it was really just me processing a lot of experiences that I had in my coming of age as a first gen Muslim person growing up post 9/11.
Thank you for that. I'm also curious, why, I guess you've kind of touched on this a little bit, but why is it that the story told within your film is so important to you, and why do you think it's so important for audiences to really watch the film and pick up on these stories?
Yeah, I definitely think it was important for me because I, without knowing, like subconsciously, I was really just processing a lot of experiences, um, questions that I had, feelings that I didn't realize I had. And through the process of writing, and again, my friends helping me so much by acting in the scenes, I got to kind of understand my experience and my even my identity to some degree through the process of filmmaking. So I think the film was important for me because it was an act of restoration. Um, and in terms of it being important for others, I would say whoever can find healing through it, like I think that would be good if that's possible. Um, yeah, I would hope that it is important to others. I think all of us would love that as filmmakers to take something that we spent so much time with and learn that it actually had some sort of impact. I think that would be really great. But yeah, as far as me, like I really needed to do this for myself. So I know I can tell you that like 100% it was important for me. And I feel really grateful to my cast again, who just honestly took a leap of faith. I would tell them like every year, like, hey, do you want to shoot this thing with me? It's just a scene, for a pitch deck, or it's I'm just trying to understand something I'm writing. I'm so lucky that I had these friends that were just willing to become vessels in a way for a story that was so personal.
Yeah, and I guess like adding on to that, is there, especially because you were shooting over such an extended period of time, is there a certain aspect of the filmmaking process or the film itself that you're most proud of?
Yeah, I was like completion. No, uh, without sounding so vague, I think it just might have been the process. I I don't know formally how things are done at a certain scale. So, I think from afar, I sense that there's a lot of work on big like studio movies, the call sheets and 12, 14 hours. And this whole process was really gentle. Again, we didn't know we were going to actually make a film that was going to be a short film. We thought we were collecting source material. So there was no expectations. It was just like literally calling up a friend, asking, like, hey, can you do this? No pressure. And then us like meeting. Sometimes we'd have food or we'd go watch a movie. Um, and it was very subconscious. Like the process was very subconscious. I gave very little like notes and directions to the actors I was working with. I just kind of shared with them a little bit about my own experience, or even the mindset or the headspace that I believe the characters might be in. And then they took their own experiences and their own um, I think their own direction, to be quite honest, to craft these characters and craft these performances. So I feel like I'm most proud of the process, even though I can't really take credit for that because it was not something that we were like, this is how we're going to do it. It was just kind of something that happened organically.
That's so interesting to hear. Like, I feel like you have such a unique process in particular with your film, and it's very interesting to hear you talk about it after like watching it. So thank you for shedding light on that. Uh, I just also want to know, is there anything that you would like audiences to know more about yourself or any future projects you may be working on?
Yeah. Yeah, and to add on to that too, like I'd love to share more about the cast and crew who worked on this, because they're such a big part of the fact that like why it could even happen. Um, so yeah, the let's start with the actors. So the actors are my friends, Marina, Kari, Ismail, Carlos. Like I know them very intimately as like friends, and I think I even worked for Carlos at some point. Um, they all are like triple threats, like in terms of like their ability to create beautiful art. So obviously they showed up in my film as actors, but they all have their own artistic practices and they express it differently. Some through fashion, some through music, some through cooking. And I think that's important to say only because like our actors, like I guess they were not necessarily trained as far as I know. Um, but I think everybody has the capacity to act because their life experiences are so rich and beautiful. So I just wanted to shout them out and then also talk about the music because it's a music driven film. And obviously the whole reason that the whole reason that Amina can have these memories that she has is because the music unlocks it. And it's this idea of like, you don't have to go very far to see yourself because it exists within us through our memories. And sometimes you can find these objects in your house like records, or sometimes it's a garment of clothing that will create a memory or recall a memory. So obviously it was for Amina, it was music, and music plays a very special part in my own life. And you might have seen that I was one of the composers, but we had songs from our sound designer, Esteban Carlos Benson, and also we had a song from Burnaby, and they are like this whole team I'm definitely trying to work with for the feature film because they have such amazing ways that they approach the work that they do. So with Esteban specifically, uh, you know, he is kind of an auteur when it comes to sound. Like he changed the relationship that I have to sound, after working with him, because I think for directors, it tends to be a little bit of an afterthought. Whereas in our film, it's actually like a piece of the story. Like it's literally a character or the unofficial character of the story. So it was important to have a sound designer that really embodies that same ethos. Esteban went as far as creating instruments from the voices of my actors to use in the sound design. So, you know, that's a really unique thing to have. And so I really, people should definitely look at the credits and follow these people. And Burnaby is amazing. So he did a lot of like the beat soundscapes and also like the song crickets in the end. Um, he he's I don't even know how to describe him, to be quite honest. Like he's definitely like a really unique individual who has almost like this from afar, like this sacred relationship to beats and music. And he also incorporated a lot of sound design from his environment into the sounds he was making. um, and they're both amazing and inspiring people to work with, and they really elevated this film. Um, and obviously my producer Jaime and Ernesto, who helped camera operate on some of the days as well. Like we have a small but like really beautiful team of people that I hope to work with again.
Yes, everybody definitely go check out everybody that is like accredited
Yeah.
in your film, because of course, like, it's not just you as the director that's putting this together. It takes like a whole team to make such a beautiful film as you've created. So yes, thank you for telling us more about them. I'm just adding this on now that like I hear you discussing like the feature end of things. Is there anything like you're particularly excited for in that process?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to tell the feature film version of this story, because as I said, it's definitely like I was basically collecting source material to understand what this feature film would be. But the experience of the short film was so great that I'm now thinking like, wow, I need to make sure that the feature upholds the integrity that was communicated in the short film. And I think oftentimes as directors, we're like trying to prove ourselves with our short film to make this big feature film. But now I feel the other way. Like I have to prove myself that I can make something that feels as honest as this short film. So like in terms of like what I really want, perhaps the audience to feel is to understand that our memories are really powerful.
Mhm.
Um, and they can be a safe space and a restorative space. And film can really be a restorative tool if we use it uh, towards remembering. So I think for me, as again, a first gen Muslim teenager, I struggled with the feeling of being watched.
Yeah.
At the same time, I remember that I was also being watched over by my parents and by my community. So I believe that this film is really a dialogue between the two.
Mm.
Um, and it uses music and memory to understand that even though we are coming from communities that are often surveilled, we also have the capacity to see ourselves through memory work and through image making. So hopefully that comes through.
What are your thoughts on, now that you've created a memory, in producing this film, versus, or I guess in combination with the journey of processing and looking through archival footage that is within the process of your filmmaking?
Absolutely. Like I feel so grateful. Like just as we talked about, like the films that we create are timestamps of periods in our lives where we're creating and processing and remembering. And I love the fact that I have this beautiful short film that was created with my community. Um, and towards something that was really restorative for me. Like it's an honor to have this archived work that will be like part of the body of work that I continue to create.
That's all of the questions that I have, but for everybody watching, please go check out our other Q&A blocks about our other short block panels that we have going on, and please enjoy the rest of the festival. Thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate the conversation.